Hey friends, we are back. Do I sound different? I'm using a different, not a different mic, a different transmitter. This one instead of the other one, which is being recharged. So you are watching Guitar Quackery Live, the one and only live streaming guitar repair channel. Live streaming, which means the customers get to watch me live. And I am about to send a link to this customer, owner of this guitar, and here it goes. Whip. All right, just went out. So he can watch me work on his guitar. So when I accidentally drop a hammer on the guitar, he will get to see it happen in real time. That's the privilege. Oh, he just liked. He liked the link. I don't think he liked the hammer. Well, how could he? It didn't happen yet. I don't have the actual strings that I'm going to be putting on this guitar. Somehow I messed up my inventory and I either misplaced the pack, or did I put it inside the case? I don't think so, because I don't normally do that. No. Okay. So these are the sacrificial strings I put on the guitar. And you know what? I might as well raise the pickups a little bit, because they are too low now. So I'm not doing the setup yet, but I will be doing the setup. And here are the pickups. So I just got a message from the customer, something about the strings, because he's watching me. Like I said, the strings might be in the tally case. I don't think so, because we're not using your strings. At least that's not what the work order shows. The work order shows the Dario. Let me double check. The Dario, yeah, XS 11 to 49. So they are on the work order that I'm selling. I mean, we don't have to use my strings, but I'll check the other case if there are strings there. But I thought you wanted the coated ones, so if I recall, you had a pack of strings for the telly that weren't coated. Whatever, we'll work it out. I don't think I'll finish this tonight anyway. I want to finish the nut, and then tomorrow is another day, all day long. You're not picking it up tonight anyway. So, yeah, I think I want to finish this guitar tomorrow, first thing, so that it's done. That would make a lot of sense. And that's when I'll just finish the setup. So restringing, setup, and cleaning the hardware. Gold hardware is not easy to clean. So that's one thing about gold hardware. I can never really get it clean. And I'm not the only one that has this problem. Okay, so we have this camera, It's too high. This is better. Maybe zoom in a bit. Perfect. The files we're putting 11 to 49. Okay, so 11, 14, 11, 14, 17, 28, 38, 49. I think those are the strings. He texted me back that he thought you took the excess strings out of the inventory and put them in the case. Telecase because both them in at the same time, no issues. Oh wait. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm finishing the guitar tomorrow, and I can just pick up a pack of strings on my way to work here. No problem at all. But I'm going to check the telecase. I am going to do that for sure. Thank you. See, I'm communicating with the customer in real time. This is what this is. And I only have one viewer, so okay, others will join. No problem. Okay, let's do some work tonight. Today is still the 19th. Tomorrow is the 20th. And all business owners know what happens on the 20th. Well, I guess in New York State, I don't know about other states, it's sales tax deadline. And I already finished that. Okay, so, oh, look at that. My phone is reminding me to go to bed. Bedtime reminder. It's time to go to bed. Ignore it. It's a tusk nut. Tusk. Yeah. It's well shaped. Where do I have? Okay, this is the file. The winder is here. So, you know, I just want to point out some details. It's well shaped. It could be better on the side here. Okay? So, this is what we see here. We see the string, and we also see the side here is pretty low on this side, right on the outside, and I can see some scratch marks here. So I don't know if this string ever slipped out of the knot. So let's remove the string and look at this. And you can see how this side is taller than this side here. But that's really the side that should be, you know, tall enough so the string doesn't slip out. Now, fortunately, we lowered the frets, so we are going to lower the inside. Now, another thing to keep in mind is these are 11s. So this string is a 49 gauge string. Now, usually they cut this for a 46 gauge string. So there's a little chip off here, or whatever. That's not going to affect anything. But when it's cut for a 46 gauge string, the thick string is not going to fit inside. However, this time, they didn't cut it deep enough, so these two sides are not tall. So we don't get that situation where the string gets pinched on the sides and doesn't even touch the bottom. So what we want to do is, with a 50 gauge file for a 49 gauge string, do a little touch up at the back for sure. And we're going to lower this whole thing a little bit to compensate for the work that we did on the frets. We lower the frets. But I don't know if this string ever slipped out. I wish the nut was a little taller on the bass side. So if you don't have issues with the string slippage, then it's good. I have to readjust this camera. I think I didn't. I didn't tighten it, so it kind of sagged. Is that good? Looks good. All right. So now I want to eyeball this thing first before I start measuring. Yeah, we can get them lower. It's not going to be by much, so we need to be careful. What we're doing is we're optimizing the guitar. So it's about twice the height that I want, and we can get it lower. So this is why I'm using sacrificial strings now, because I am removing the string on and off. And now we just touch up a little bit. It's actually a good thing to tune it a little bit above pitch to make this, take this measurement. This way we don't have the sagging of the string. Throw the measurement off. Okay, now it's perfect. So I can maybe show it like this. We have this little space that's left. That's this little space the string travels. So this didn't add a significant height on the side. It is what it is. But this is how the nut was shaped. It should be okay. Yeah, I think it will be fine, right? It's just that I did notice these scratch marks, which would indicate that the string might have slipped out of the string slot at some point in the past at full tension. I don't know. Or maybe it was during restringing. So this is something to keep an eye on. It's important during restringing, since we are talking about this. So let me loosen the string. To just hold the string above the nut slot and get it to tension, and then drop it in and then tune it, right? So especially now that we know about this, to make sure that we don't, tune it outside of it and put it on somehow or whatever, right? Or, make it slide through the string slot as we're winding it. We wouldn't want to do that. Right? So okay, we're done with this. So 38, right? Gauge string is next. 38. Let me check that online. I think it's 28, 38. The D is 28, A is 38. Let me check. Yeah. And G is going to be 18 and not 17. 18, 28, 38. Okay. Now, there is no 38 gauge. So sorry, there's a question here. So here we are, is asking, what when you put a 9 gauge string in a 10 gauge, not slot, nothing, that's fine. I know some people will put lighter strings on the high E. Yeah. No, nothing, it's fine. When you use a 10 gauge file on a E string, you can put an 11 gauge string into it. I mean, the file will file on the side as well. It's not going to be like precision CNC machine kind of microscopic thing. You know, it's a hand file with grit on the side. It's really about the height and the shape of the string slot. In fact, like I was just starting to explain, we have from an 11 to 49 gauge set, this string here is a 38 gauge string. Let me focus. Okay, that's a 38 gauge string. We don't have a 38 gauge file. We have a 36 and we have a 42 gauge file. So I'm going to use a 36 gauge file, but because it's got grit on the side, it's going to open up, especially with these string slots shaped like this. This is not a deep string slot, it's like a surface slot. We'll be able to touch it up on the sides as well. It's fine. So I clean up the front maybe a little bit. And now we put the string back. This is already fine, but I can get it just a bit lower. It's like there's a range where it's, you know, starting to be fine, and then if you want to perfect it just a little bit, and if you feel that you can do it, you can, or you can just leave it as is. And like I said, I'm winding the string, and now I'm dropping it into the string slot and then tuning it. So I guess this nut isn't going to take too long. Now this is perfect. It's between 2 and 3 1/100ths of a millimeter in height that remains. You can see that. It moves a little bit. I think you can see it on camera. Perfect. So maybe this nut isn't going to take too long. So next string is a 28 gauge, and again we don't, oh, we do have a 28 gauge file, sorry. sometimes we don't have the file for the D. Normally we don't, because it's a 26 gauge on a 10 gauge pack, and we only have a 24 or 28 gauge file. But this is now a 28 gauge file that matches the string. And here is the string. Okay, so you see when you tune the string, I'm going to lower the tension. You see how it goes through the string slot. So this is why you don't want to be winding the string through the string slot. And let's have a look at the string slot. This is it. So it seems like it might have been a little tight. No, it's actually quite good in terms of width. But you see the bottom of the string slot it's got two little corners, right? It's not round. It's like a corner here and a corner there. So it seems like this was cut with not a round file. And you can see that on the back. Sloppy, sloppy. We discover everything here. This is clearly something that was filed with, not with a rounded file. So this is a feeler gauge, and here there's a corner, and here there's a corner as well right there, right? I'm just using this feeler gauge to show you. So now we got to be careful, because yeah, the string was only touching the bottom of a straight string slot. Now we're making a U-shaped string slot, okay? Okay, and now I'm going to place the string inside, just like that. Focus, focus. We don't need to be zoomed in so much, but it's better to be in focus. And now when I tune it, this is what happens, right? So it's still too high. I don't even need to measure it. It's too high. So in this case, that's good news, because I really don't like that square bottom with the two corners. So if we look at this now, you see that we are rounding off that bottom of the string slot right there. And we're going to round it off even more. So it's going to be a better distribution of pressure at the tip of the nut. And the back end can stay squarish. It doesn't really matter. But here, I'm rounding it off a little bit, just because I can. That's that. And what I do is I first eyeball it. If it looks too high, I don't even need to take a measurement. The G is definitely way too high. This one is getting close, so I just want to know how close I am. I know I'm still too high, but I just kind of want to get an idea. It's about twice the height. Just a little bit at a time. What you don't want to do is cut too deep. This looks like I could stop, you know, by eye when I eyeball it. Now, let's see. Perfect. Yeah, I can show you. So the little thing that remains is this. Okay. I could go a little lower. I don't have to. Yeah, when a nut is shaped like this, there's only a very small area for the string to push down. Yeah, you can keep it just a little tad taller, just to give it, you know, time for the string to do its thing. But now this string, you can see even on camera how much taller it is than it needs to be, than it should be. You don't really need to measure. It's perfectly okay to just do it by feel. Because you know, with experience, you get it more or less in the same range. Okay, so let's have a look. Once again, this is a completely square string slot. Look at that. So the only issue that I'm having with this is that the distribution of pressure at the tip is better if it's a U shape, I think, for the longevity of the nut. That's what I think. But, you know, this is just my intuition. I don't have any evidence of that. Too tall. Yeah, you know, this looks like machine cut. I think they just cut this on a plex machine and didn't do any kind of hand cutting afterwards. That's just a plex machine, a CNC machine cut. Yeah. So I guess, you know, the plex machine took a reading of these frets and then just cut the slot, you know, which is fine. But there's different types of bits that can be used. And I remember seeing two, like the same bit was used for this as it was for this, except this, it was used twice to make it wider. That's what we saw at the back end, if you remember. Now the string is covering it up. So there's different CNC bits, or those are called end mills, that can be used. They should use a ball nose end mill, not a what's called an end mill. The one that's straight at the bottom. That's not the one that should be used. for string slots. So we're doing guitar repair, we're also doing guitar forensics work. We're investigating. It needs to come down. So one thing about Tusk is it cuts very rapidly, but it does last long. So the strings don't cut through it, but the diamond file does. So you got to be careful not to cut it too much. Getting there. And the Tusk also clogs up the file very quickly. So always clean the file between passes. I am at a point where I could stop and it would be good, but I'm going to do one more pass. Looks good visually. I could do one more pass. And you can see how this string slot is really much deeper than the low E string, right? So, but the low E string is right at the edge. So, really here, it would be beneficial if this side was deeper. Well, we just got to be aware of it. Great. All right. So that was the wait a minute. That was the G string, 17 gauge file. So now we use the 13 gauge and then the 10 gauge. So 17 gauge file worked well for the 18 gauge string from a set of 11s. And a 13 gauge file is going to work fine for a 14 gauge string from a set of 11s. And again, this is because the file does have the grit on the side like this. It's going to widen up the slot a little bit. All right, so let's, yeah, I got to first check. So this is close. Let me take a measurement. I'm measuring both of them. So those two are close. I'm not going to spend much time on these two strings. And again, we see a string slot that's, it's got a square bottom. So you can see how the two sides, so this string slot is already wider than this file. When it's so close, I do want to measure. So yeah, I finished my sales tax, and when I was logged on to my what is it called? New York State Department of Finance and Taxation, something like that. My portal, I saw that I owed some kind of $38.82 of withholding tax, and that's a payroll tax. So, man, I owed some residual thing like a few months ago, and I paid in full. And I have this theory that maybe there was a penny missing the next day, because I paid it over the phone with the tax person helping me. And in full. And she said, that's now paid in full. So I think that, if I paid at the end of the workday or something, but maybe they calculated now interest on that, like they calculated this interest daily, and then that interest was over my payment. My payment was for the exact amount that I owed. And I think maybe then a penny or 2 pennies interest, whatever, got charged, showed up the next day, which I didn't check. I had no reason to check. And then I got interest on that. So now I explained that because, again, I was on the phone with a person. I said, do you see a record that I paid? Oh, yes, we see the record. So why is there a balance of $38 now? So they don't know, obviously. But, I got to say, they were all nice. They really weren't mean to me or anything. They just work for the system, and the system is, not the best. So they don't know. So now I paid again. So now I'm going to check every day just to see if this thing got zeroed or if there's now, again, some residual interest that just gets transferred onto the next day and then keeps accumulating interest on that and penalties and whatever. So that's not sales tax, that's withholding tax. That's from the payroll. Because the way I pay myself here, so even if I own the company, I can just take money, but that's not how you want to do it. Because if I just do a personal transfer, that's not even tax deductible on the company level. So if you have like a little business like this, you want to go through a payroll company so that you get a paycheck, same kind of paycheck that you would get if you work for another company. takes care of all the taxes, including this withholding tax. So the reason why there was even a balance to begin with is because there was some number was not set up correctly with the payroll company a few months ago. But yeah, so you want to be paying yourself through a payroll company, because then also Social Security gets paid and all that nice stuff. And it's tax deductible on the company level. So I do my own payroll in terms of, well, I use a payroll company. That's perfect. Yeah. Oh. Now you see it. Okay. That little wiggle. So that's that little space that remains. Okay. So yeah, so as I was saying, I use a payroll company, but I run the payroll. Is that the terminology? I log on to the portal and I decide how much this guy gets paid every time there's a paycheck. So sometimes with you know, running your own business, you really can't pay yourself on some days or, you know, intervals the way you want to, like now, because it's tax season. So I did have the money for the tax, but the taxman took it all. Guitar forensics. Who done it? Guitar forensics. I actually have an upcoming thing. Let me show you here if I can find it. I have a guitar forensics solution, if I can find it. It's a bit of a mess here. It's off camera. Where is it? Here, I think it's in this box. Okay. Yeah, a guitar forensic test solution. Scientifically proven by Guitar Quackery. Okay. So it can perform an authenticity test, theft analysis, and more. Okay. So this is a product developed by Guitar Quackery. There will be a video coming up about this on the main channel. I should keep it outside here so I don't forget. I already recorded some materials for the video. Yeah, okay, so tune it a little bit. Okay, so yeah. Yeah, this guitar will feel normal now to play. That was the point of this service. The moment of truth will be when the customer tries to play it. Like I said, my friends, so this was not even too long, 45 minutes and 51 seconds. Okay, great. Like I said, I am not going to finish this tonight. I am going to check that tele case if the strings are there. We'll see. But even if they are, I am not going to finish this tonight. So the guitar goes in the case right now. Right here. It's also good because the neck was not at full tension at all for like a while. In fact, let me check the truss rod, the relief. So it sits overnight, then we finish the setup tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. But I can still adjust it and just kind of see if it changed overnight. No need to adjust it. It's where it needs to be. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, so sometimes when the guitar sits, is left without strings on, you know, depending on how tight the truss rod is, I guess, and how that piece of wood is, you know, it might, like a bookshelf might sag after a while. When you take the books off, it's still curved, right? So sometimes it needs time to adjust. So we'll see. So right now it's where it needs to be. I am going to see tomorrow if it's where it needs to be or if I need to tighten the truss rod a bit. Because now the strings are at tension, right? Okay. I am tempted to work longer, but I'm trying to be better at not working too late. I do have some guitars that I'm humidifying that I need to just check on, but I don't believe that I'll be working on anything tonight. So when do you, I'm just reading a comment here. When do you have to worry then when someone is curious about trying different gauge strings? What do you mean? When do you have to worry then when someone is curious about trying different gauge strings? Well, I mean, I always use this, right? To look how the string goes in the knot. So if you go from 9s to 11s, I mean, I would, you know, want to really see how the strings are going to fit on the bass side of the guitar. Because you don't want to try to insert a string at full tension into a narrow string slot and chip the two corners, right? So that's the string slot, like a letter U, whatever. These two corners, if you put a bigger string inside, you can chip the corners. So it needs to be enlarged a little bit for the bigger string. Sometimes people buy used guitars and the previous owner had whatever in whatever special tuning with, you know, thick strings, and they don't tell you. And you buy a guitar and either they never adjusted the nuts, so the sides are kind of chipped, or they had someone adjust the nut, but now you put lighter gauge strings on. So let's say it's a long scale length guitar like a Strat, and I've seen guitars that had the nut enlarged, the string slots, and they bought it used, then they put 9s on, and those strings might be vibrating inside of the nut and causing maybe, like, you know, sitar buzz, something like that. So, but when you buy used guitars, you should look closely. Bring it over here. Well, look. Okay, so a smaller string in a nut slot is never a problem. No, like I said, sometimes it is, right? So I have videos on the main channel where you can see that the string moves inside of the string slot. But, you know, within that tolerance, and it depends how the bottom of the string slot is shaped. So even if it's wider at the sides, but shaped well to nest the string at the bottom, and the string doesn't move, doesn't actually slide on the bottom, that's fine. But you don't have a nut file for every string size. It, you know, it's not like that. It doesn't work that way. You should check out, I think maybe you're new to this channel, maybe you're new to the other channel as well. So check out Guitar Quackery, the other channel. And there are some good videos there, I think. That's what people tell me. But then I shouldn't believe what people tell me. No. All right, friends, it's late. I got to check some guitars that are being rehumidified, so I am subscribed to both. Ah, good. I'm glad to hear. I am going to say good night. I don't believe that I will have another guitar on the bench tonight. Certainly not this one. This one will sit overnight. We'll check the truss rod tomorrow. I mean the relief, and finish it tomorrow. Okay. Good night. Thank you all. Bye.